I sit cross-legged on the edge of my childhood bed. The quilt beneath me faded from years of sunlight and washing machines, a patchwork of roses that once felt comforting and now just feels small. Downstairs, laughter spills through the walls. My parents, my younger sister Lena, and the small group of relatives who always seem to orbit around her. I can picture the scene without even seeing it. Lena at the center, her glossy black hair catching the light, her smile practiced, her voice pitched in that effortless way that makes people lean closer. And me. I'm the shadow at the top of the stairs, the one who claps politely, the one who is told, always, to stay quiet. It wasn't always obvious. As children, our differences were brushed off as personality quirks. Lena needed more attention, they said. She was fragile, emotional, creative. I was sturdy, reliable, independent. But those words were just masks for a deeper truth. She was the chosen one, and I was the stand-in whenever life demanded responsibility. Tonight proves it again. It's her 26th birthday, though my own passed 3 months ago with little more than a half-hearted dinner and a grocery store cake. For Lena, the dining room has been transformed. Balloons float near the ceiling, a string of twinkling lights drapes across the sideboard, and a 2-tier cake glistens with edible gold. When she cuts into it later, champagne glasses will clink. I know because I helped set it all up. Not because I was asked to, but because when you grow up in a house like mine, you learn that if you don't do the invisible work, no one else will. The clatter of silverware fades into a silence that lasts only a heartbeat before the sound of my father's voice rises, warm and booming. Lena, darling, this is for you. The thud of something heavy lands on the table. I creep down 2 steps until I can see through the banister. A velvet-lined box sits in front of my sister. She opens it with trembling hands, and a gasp escapes her lips. Nestled inside is a diamond necklace, the kind of gift most women might wait a lifetime to receive. My mother clasps her hands, eyes shining. You deserve it, Lena. After all your struggles, you deserve to shine. The words cut deeper than any blade. Because just last month, when I asked for help with a small down payment on an apartment, the first place I could call mine, the answer was swift and sharp. We can't afford luxuries, Aisha. You're old enough to handle things yourself. Luxuries. A roof over my head. But diamonds. For Lena, diamonds are a necessity. I retreat up the stairs before the applause can pierce me further. My room feels both like sanctuary and prison, walls lined with the remnants of a life spent being responsible. My engineering textbooks stacked in neat rows, the certificates framed from years of top marks, the evidence of every achievement that went unnoticed. I lie back on the quilt and stare at the ceiling. The words echo again and again. Stay quiet. They don't say it outright anymore, but it lingers in every dismissal, every shrug, every change of subject when I try to speak. I've carried that silence like an extra limb, heavy but familiar. Yet tonight something inside me cracks. The crack widens the next morning at breakfast. Lena breezes in late, wearing the necklace already, the diamonds winking like tiny spotlights. Mom pours her coffee and Dad slides over the last piece of toast. For me, nothing. I butter my own bread, listening as they outline plans to help Lena start her own design studio. We'll co-sign the lease, Dad says proudly. And we'll give you the capital to get started. Choke on my toast. Wait. You're funding her business. Dad glances at me as though I've interrupted something sacred. Of course. She needs the support. I needed support too, I say quietly, the words scraping my throat. When I started my job search. When I tried to move out. But you told me to handle it on my own. Mom sets down the coffee pot with a sharp clink. You're stronger, Aisha. You always were. Lena, she's different. She needs us. The familiar refrain. Different. Special. Worthy. And me. Strong, which is just another way of saying invisible. I want to scream, to pound the table, to demand why my worth is measured only in what I can survive without. But the weight of silence presses down again, heavier this time, and I swallow the words until they burn like acid. Later that day, I walk through the city streets, the noise of traffic and vendors blurring around me. My phone buzzes. Another message from Lena, a photo of her necklace captioned with hearts. I slipped the phone back into my pocket, my chest tightening. This city is full of people building lives, chasing dreams, carving out space for themselves. And here I am, 29 years old, still asking for permission to matter in my own family. That night, as I lie in bed staring at the dark, memories unfurl like old film reels. My 12th birthday. Lena's gift was a new bike, mine a sweater 2 sizes too big. High school graduation. Lena's cheers filled the auditorium while my own speech went unnoticed because Mom was consoling her over a lost art competition. College. My scholarships paid every penny while Lena's tuition came from the family savings. Again and again, the pattern repeats, each moment a stitch in a fabric of favoritism I can't tear apart. I roll over, clutching my pillow, and for the first time in years I allow the tears to fall. Silent, hot, unstoppable. The kind of tears that don't beg for comfort because they already know none is coming. By morning my face is swollen, my heart heavy, but my resolve sharper. I can't keep living like this, waiting for crumbs while Lena feasts. If my parents can't see my worth, then I will show them, not through begging, not through silence, but through action. I dress carefully, pulling on the navy suit I reserve for important meetings. At work, the office hums with Monday energy. My supervisor, Mr. Rahman, calls me in to discuss the new project. He talks numbers and blueprints, but all I hear is possibility. 4 years I've poured myself into this company, designing, calculating, ensuring every structure stands strong. If I can build towers from steel and glass, then surely I can build a life where I am no longer second best. That evening, I visit a small cafe near the river. The lights shimmer on the water, and the smell of fresh coffee wraps around me like courage. Across from me sits Farah, my closest friend since university. She listens silently as I recount the necklace, the business funding, the breakfast conversation. When I finish, she leans forward. Aisha, you've carried this for too long. Your parents won't change unless you stop playing the role they gave you. You have to choose yourself. The words settle like stones in my chest. Choose myself. The idea feels both terrifying and liberating. That night I draft a plan. Not a plea, not another quiet endurance, but a plan for independence that doesn't wait for their permission. I research apartments, calculate budgets, list the contacts I'll need if I decide to start something of my own one day. Each step feels like reclaiming air I didn't know I'd been denied. But the house is still full of shadows. At dinner, Dad discusses lease options for Lena's studio. Mom gushes about marketing strategies. They ask me nothing, notice nothing. I choose slowly, tasting only bitterness. Finally I set down my fork. I've been promoted, I say evenly. Senior engineer. Higher pay, more responsibility. Lena claps politely, distracted by her phone. Dad nods once. Mom murmurs, "That's nice, dear." Then the conversation returns to Lena's business. The silence after my announcement is deafening. My heart hammers, but not with shame this time, with clarity. They will never celebrate me. Not the way they celebrate her. And that realization, painful as it is, feels like the first step toward freedom. That night I pack a small suitcase. Clothes, documents, my laptop, and the leather notebook where I've written every goal I once tucked away out of fear of being too demanding. I stand in the doorway of my childhood room, breathing in the familiar scent of dust and old books. Then I close the door behind me. The next morning, as sunlight spills across the street, I walk away from the house. Each step feels lighter, though the weight of years clings stubbornly. My phone buzzes again. A message from Lena, another photo, another reminder of everything I was denied. I delete it without opening. Because for the first time I am choosing not silence, not bitterness, but myself. The rented flat I move into isn't much. 1 bedroom, a narrow kitchen, and a balcony that overlooks the busy main road. But when I slide the key into the lock and push the door open, it feels like stepping into a new world. The walls are bare, the floor slightly scuffed, yet every inch of it belongs to me. No diamond necklaces sparkle here. No voices telling me to stay quiet. Just silence, blessed and mine to shape. For the first time in years I sleep soundly. No muffled laughter from the next room. No comparisons echoing across the dinner table. In the morning I brew my own tea, the steam curling into the air as though whispering congratulations. I sit at the small table by the window, sipping slowly, and realize this is what freedom tastes like. Plain, simple but alive. At work, my promotion shifts everything. Colleagues who once overlooked me now seek my advice. Clients shake my hand with respect. Mr. Rahman commends my designs publicly, something my own family never did. Each blueprint I complete feels like a declaration. I am capable. I am worthy. I am more than what they chose to see. Still the phone calls come. Mom, her voice syrupy sweet, asking why I left without notice. Dad, curt and commanding, insisting I return for family dinners. Lena, sending photos of her studio in progress, waiting for my praise. At first, I answer, my responses clipped, my explanations swallowed by their dismissals. But slowly, I learn the art of letting calls ring, of choosing silence on my own terms. Weeks turn into months. The apartment begins to reflect me. Shelves filled with books I love, a framed certificate of my promotion, a potted plant that somehow thrives despite my neglect. Each evening, I step onto the balcony, watching the traffic below, and feel the faint tug of pride. Built this. Alone. Then one evening, an envelope arrives, heavy with the weight of family tradition. Lena's engagement party. Gold lettering announces the date, the venue, the promise of a celebration destined to dazzle. My chest tightens as I read it, the familiar ache returning. An event where I will be expected to clap, to smile, to blend into the background while Lena shines. I place the invitation on the counter and walk away. For days it sits there, a silent dare. Part of me wants to toss it into the trash, to sever the tie entirely. But another part whispers that attending isn't about them. It's about me. To walk into that hall not as the quiet sister, but as the woman I've become. The night of the party, I dress carefully. A deep emerald dress, simple yet commanding, chosen not to outshine but to stand unapologetically in my own skin. My reflection in the mirror startles me. Not the timid girl waiting for scraps, but someone who has tasted independence and won't let it slip away. The hall glitters with chandeliers, the tables adorned with roses and gold. Guests chatter, glasses clink, and at the center, as always, is Lena. She glows in her silver gown, her fiancé by her side, parents beaming proudly. Their pride is so tangible it hangs in the air like perfume. When I enter, conversations pause. His turn. My mother's smile falters for a second, my father's brows knit in surprise. Lena waves enthusiastically, beckoning me forward. I walk slowly, each step deliberate, the emerald dress whispering across the floor. No apologies, no shrinking, just presence. You came. Lena gushes, hugging me tightly, diamonds flashing on her wrist. I was afraid you'd stay angry. I meet her gaze steady. I'm not angry. I'm just done being invisible. Her smile flickers, unsure how to respond. My parents approach, their words already forming excuses. You should have told us you were moving, Dad scolds softly. Families don't hide from each other. I breathe deeply, the scent of roses and wine mingling in my lungs. Families don't silence each other either. Families don't measure love in diamonds for one and scraps for the other. The table nearest us quiets, ears straining. For once, I don't lower my voice. Mom's eyes glisten, her hands trembling against her pearl clutch. We never meant. It doesn't matter what you meant, I interrupt gently. What matters is what you did. For years you gave Lena everything. You told me to stay quiet. And I did. But not anymore. Lena shifts uncomfortably, her fiancé glancing between us. Dad straightens, pride hardening his jaw. You're being dramatic, Aisha. We always supported you. I smile faintly, pulling something from my bag. A small notebook filled with receipts, bank statements and photos. When I begged for help with tuition, you said no. But Lena's semesters were fully paid. When I asked for a small loan for an apartment, you refused. But you co-signed her lease and funded her studio. This isn't drama. It's fact. A hush spreads through the room, whispers fluttering like moths in candlelight. My parents' faces pale. Lena's lips part in protest. You always survived, Mom whispers as though it absolves her. Surviving isn't the same as being loved, I reply. My voice is calm, steady, stronger than I've ever heard it. The silence that follows is suffocating, yet freeing. I hand the notebook to my father and step back. You can keep it. A record of what silence costs. Without waiting for their response, I turn and walk toward the buffet table, where guests are already pretending to be engrossed in desserts. My heart pounds, but not from fear, from release. For the first time I spoke without flinching, without apology. The night winds on. Music swells, champagne flows, but beneath the glitter, tension lingers. My parents avoid my gaze. Lena tries too hard to laugh, but I no longer shrink beneath it. I mingle with cousins, chat with old acquaintances, accept compliments on my work. And when I leave, I do so with my head high, emerald dress swaying, silence now a choice rather than a command. Back in my apartment, I slip off my shoes and sink onto the sofa. The city hums outside, vibrant and indifferent. On the counter, the invitation lies where I left it, now meaningless. I pick it up, tear it neatly down the middle, and drop it into the trash. In the weeks that follow, the calls grow fewer. At first, guilt gnaws at me, the old conditioning that told me silence equals loyalty. But each day in my own space, each paycheck I spend on myself, each project I complete, the guilt fades into something steadier, peace. Months later, another envelope arrives. A wedding invitation this time. Lena's big day, the event of the season. I hold it for a long moment, then place it on the table. This choice feels different. Not an obligation, not a trap. A decision only I can make. On the morning of the wedding, I stand before my mirror once more. The woman staring back at me is not the one who wept into a pillow, nor the one who carried silence like a burden. She is someone who walked away, built her own foundation, and found worth not in diamonds or approval, but in herself. When I arrive, heads turn again, but this time I don't care. I take my seat not at the edge but at the center where I belong. And when the vows are spoken, when the music swells and the night blurs into celebration, I raise my glass high. Not for them, not for what they withheld, but for myself. For the choice to no longer stay quiet. Because silence may have been their gift to me. But my voice is mine.